Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of AKP Sports Talk. Today is, I think, July 11th. As always, I'm Ari here with Korea. We'll get into a quick recap. Once again, Korea 2-0 for you in the MLB with a tough loss on the pitch. What were your takeaways from your three plays yesterday?
Yeah, going first to the pitch, that was tough to see. That was tough to see. Obviously, that was mostly like I said yesterday. I have the Netherlands for that future and 90th minute goal from Ollie Watkins. Miracle shot went in off the post. Just one of those. Just lucky, but it was obviously a tough loss as well. Obviously Netherlands. I had them to win the Euros at plus 1800, so we needed them just to have two more wins there. And England's luck still keeps to keep being alive now. Obviously, England one of the luckier teams. This whole Euros. Whether it's been VAR or the fact that when they sub off Harry Kane and they bring on someone else or Cole Palmer, and it's just this luck for this team. I just feel like it's just got to run out. So I'm not right now having a lean in any way. I probably would like to bet Spain to lift the cup if anything, but I'll probably have a better bet for you tomorrow on that. Obviously the final Sunday afternoon. So that was a tough loss there, but obviously, like you said, I've been pretty dialed on the diamond, which is obviously making up for it. Another 2-0 day for me on the diamond. First, the Royals' first five money line for game number two. Obviously, it was a little bit sweaty at first. Newbar had that solo shot in the bottom of the second, and then Melendez responded in the top of the third, and then Perez had an RBI sac fly, and then Hunter Renfroe got some, and so I was like, okay, well now they're up by 2 runs in the bottom of the fourth, just don't do anything stupid. And then Gorman with the RBI with the ground rule double made me a little concerned, but then Adam Frazier, former Mariner, doing his work, getting that getting that RBI single off of Liberator, and then Bobby Witt Jr. As well attacking on some runs. And even though in the bottom half of the fifth, like I said, the the Cardinals did make it interesting. Obviously we just needed the Royals to have a lead, and that's what they did. Obviously that was a plus money play. Obviously I just was backing, just the fact that I knew that this Graceffo guy was going to get rocked, and he did get rocked pretty early. He only went 3 in the third. He allowed 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 of them earned. And then Liberator came in. He allowed another 3 earned runs through about 1 2/3 innings. So, just the bad bullpen arms for the Cardinals. And the Royals obviously pounced on them. So that was obviously a great winner. And then finishing our night off with the late night game yesterday with the Diamondbacks winning the full game money line minus 105. That was a great win. Obviously kind of capped it off with a late rally in the bottom of the eighth. But this was definitely a little bit of a back and forth game. Darno had that 2-run double to start out, and then Eugenio Suarez, former Mariner, that 2-run moonshot that went to left field. And then obviously it was pretty much back and forth. Olsen, then Marte homered, and then Suarez again got the lead, and then Ozuna had a 2-run bomb in the top of the eighth, and then bottom of the eighth, Perdomo got a RBI sac fly and the RBI walk to Christian Walker. So pretty much did this. And Paul Sewald, thank God, did not blow a save this time. That's been pretty nerve wracking for the Arizona Diamondbacks recently. Paul Sewald, not the best pitcher recently, but obviously today he got the one inning, obviously the 3 outs that we needed, not allowing a single run across the plate, which was obviously great to see. So, obviously a 2-1 day, obviously hoping for a 3-0 day, but obviously, Euros, those are a couple tough losses, but that's okay. Obviously, only a couple more games left for Copa America and the Euros. So, obviously winding down that fun stretch that was, but obviously that was a 2-1 day for me. Ari, how'd you do yesterday?
Yeah, tough loss for the Rays. 2-1 they lost. Eflin did his job, 7 innings. I think both runs were earned, 7 innings. And the Rays, they didn't get to Stroman like run wise, but they got him out after only 4 1/3 innings, which is usually good when you get the pitcher out early, the starter out early. But then the Yankees bullpen, more or less shut them down for the most part the rest of the game. They had some chances, late to potentially tie the game up, but yeah, and my other lean was the over in this game, so obviously that was a way worse look than the Rays money line. Yeah, Stroman. I guess you can't really say Stroman came to the pitch because he only went 4 1/3. It was mostly the Yankees bullpen that did most of the work to win the game for the Yankees, and then scored 2 runs just enough. Eflin. If you would have told me Eflin went 7 innings, gave up 2 runs, I would have been pretty confident in the Rays getting the job done, obviously. So, Yankees got the win on one day for me yesterday.
Yeah, that's tough. Obviously, looking at the box score, seeing that Stroman allowed 7 hits, 4 in the third inning, and only allowed 1 run. That's basically the Rays' offense right now in a nutshell. They can get the guys on base, but they can't bring them in. Just kind of similar to another team out in the Pacific Northwest that we like to talk about over here. But as you mentioned, if you said Zach Eflin went 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, one of them allowed, and the Rays lost 2-1, you would have been thinking, well, what happened? And obviously the Rays offense, they showed up, but they couldn't really do anything to bring those scores, and obviously left 12 men on base. So that's a key reason there. Right? Obviously they had those opportunities, just couldn't really drive them in. Obviously, so you mentioned the over. Obviously, that was a tough read for you as well. Just with both teams not really having, not really able to drive those teams on. Watch obviously today, both of them go soaring over today's total. That's just how baseball is sometimes. But obviously, unfortunate day for you. 0-1 day, so 2-2, 2-2 day for us yesterday. But obviously, we're just going to keep continuing and turning out plays. You're obviously on the 7-11 day. Speaking of 7-Eleven, obviously, go get yourself a free Slurpee out there, people. But here are my 2 picks today. And we're going to go to the plus money play first, and we're taking the Dodgers. And you think Dodgers and plus money, and you're thinking, how the Dodgers plus money? I'll explain you why. Obviously, they're playing the Phillies. This is more of an avoid the sweep play. Obviously, the Dodgers, are on the verge of being swept by the Phillies. Obviously, no one really expected the Phillies to be this good, but obviously everyone probably in Philly knew that they were this good. And then obviously the Dodgers, they're still pretty good, but I'm thinking, in this series, they've played very well. It's not like it's been, a very one-sided series. I think the Phillies, in this spot, I think they maybe have a letdown spot in this game. On the mound for the Phillies tonight, it's Aaron Nola, obviously. And, we talk about how Aaron Nola has struggled at home versus on the road. His road home splits are very strange, but, I'm kind of banking more on that, as well as the fact that this is more of an avoid the sweep play. It's a very profitable system in baseball, just taking a team to not be swept here. And we're taking the Dodgers, obviously one of the best teams in baseball, from top to bottom. We're just taking them to not be swept here. They, I don't think they've been swept in I don't think in a very, very long time here. And obviously this is a big series for them. Obviously, pretty much a preview of the NLCS, some would like to say. And obviously, after that game 1 where they just got absolutely beat down, they played a tough game yesterday. It was a very close game. Even though Gavin Stone, it was kind of like a Marcus Stroman type of performance. He got beat up early and got moved out, but the bullpen pretty much did their job. I mean, you look at the bullpen, just not allowing 1 hit over 4 innings, or 3 and a third innings. So the bullpen did their job. And, that was some of the weaker arms for the Dodgers bullpen. So that's why I'm more banking, on the fact that even if Landon Knack gets beat up today, I do think that the Dodgers will do just enough against Aaron Nola. Obviously yesterday, a close game against, the Phillies yesterday. Christopher Sanchez going 6 innings, allowing 5 hits, 2 runs. But I think the bats show up today, obviously against Aaron Nola. Like I said, a lot worse at home. And Landon Knack, obviously on the mound for the for the Dodgers today. Obviously, I'm if you don't really like the Dodgers, obviously at that plus money play, I do like the over as a potential play as well. I think both offenses show up today, but I'm leaning on the Dodgers here just to avoid the sweep. More of this system here, avoiding the sweep. One, and obviously Aaron Nola, his home road splits are kind of wonky. He's a lot worse at home, so I'm just backing the Dodgers to maybe get out a win here in this NLCS preview before they go to, I believe, the Detroit Tigers, if I'm not mistaken. So that's my play today for the Dodgers money line. And then we're going to the Baltimore Orioles and Chicago Cubs, and we're taking the Cubs just through the first 5 money line. We're getting it at -115, almost kind of a pick and price for the first 5 money line here. We're just taking the Cubs through the first 5. You look at this full game, and it's kind of a mismatched price. The Cubs full price is +100, but obviously the first 5 is -115. What does that tell you? That's telling you that obviously the bullpen is going to sell for the Cubs. The Cubs bullpen is going to sell. Ari, we've talked about this many more times than we can count. When you see a game for the Cubs like this, obviously Steele's on the mound for the Cubs today. So that's kind of more evident as to why this first five versus full game money line is a little bit mispriced here. When you see this kind of game, obviously, you always take them through the first five, obviously, because you know they're going to play competitive, but Vegas is thinking the bullpen for the Cubs, obviously one of the worst in baseball, kind of sells here. And obviously the Orioles, they're also in an avoid the sweep system today at -130. So I've seen a lot of people potentially are going to be taking the Orioles full game just for that -130 price against the Cubs. But obviously for the Orioles today, it's Albert Suarez on the mound today, and he's had his ups and downs. He's not really the most consistent pitcher for the Orioles. He's had games where he's gone, at least 5 innings or at least 6 innings where he went 6 innings and 2 Ks against Texas, but he'll have games where he struggles 5 innings and 5 runs and 3 Ks against Houston on the road. So, he does usually struggle a lot more on the road than at home in some of these matchups, but I'm just more backing Justin Steele, to kind of cook this, which is really strange, this Orioles lineup that is not really hitting the ball well right now. And that's kind of more what I'm backing on. I saw yesterday, a lot of people are saying, start fading the Orioles recently, obviously, because, when a good team is starting to lose back-to-back games, not their offense not really showing up, it's kind of evident that they may start to slump. And we've already seen it with the Yankees, and it happens to all baseball teams. So I'm not really taking the full game here. Obviously, I think the Orioles do get one in this series. And I think obviously it is today. But I'm just taking the Cubs through the first 5. Backing Justin Steele here on the mound, and then also on the other side. I think Suarez gives up maybe 1 or 2. Not really too many. I know he pitches a lot better at home versus on the road. So I'm just backing the Cubs here just to not be losing through the first 5. Obviously, I'm more backing Justin Steele at home in this spot. Just to get through the first 5 and do his job. I do love backing guys like this, in this spot, just backing them to get through 5 and not having to worry about what happens, after the rest of, after what happens in the top of the 6. I do not care. I do not care. But obviously, just working through the first 5 here, those are my 2 plays for you. The Dodgers full game money line, and then the Cubs first 5 money line. Ari, what have you cooked up for this Thursday?
Yeah, 2 plays for me today, and I'm actually on the first 5 under in the Cubs-Orioles game. You talked about Steele and Albert Suarez. Albert Suarez, like you said, has been better at home. He's actually been surprisingly, compared to the expectations, he's been pretty good, all things considered, even on the road too. But he's been better at home. I think he had like a 1.5 ERA so far at home this year. Steele had an ERA just over 2 in June, and then he opened July with a complete game shutout against Angels in his last start. Like you said, Orioles are looking to avoid the sweep. Their bats have been basically dead in this whole series. The Cubs have been, I think, playing a bit better than they've been hitting better than they have all season in this series for the most part, because their bats are kind of dead for a while throughout June and even earlier. So I'm looking for Suarez to quiet them down here, and then Steele to do his thing. So obviously, hopefully, we can both cash in this and get like a 2-0 Cubs lead or something like that through 5 innings, something along those lines. And then going to the late night, Mariners first 5 -0.5. Luis Castillo against the starter. The Angels called up from Double-A to make a spot start. It was supposed to be Dyson Daniel, but I believe they optioned him back to Triple-A. So it's the guy they just called up who had an ERA like close to 5 in Double-A this year. From what I've seen, he does have pretty high strikeout stuff. So Mariners should probably still strike out a decent amount, but I still think that they can do enough to, be leading through 5 innings. I think Castillo, I'm banking on him, not giving up more than 1 run, let's say, through 5 innings. Hopefully he shuts them out, but, no more than 1 run, maybe 2 runs, maybe a 2-1 lead, 3-2 lead for the Mariners, something along those lines. They're -170 for the full game, which is I'd rather just get them at this price through the first 5. And now, Angels bullpen isn't great either. So, there's arguments for full game, whatever, -1.5 at +100. But the Mariners offense still isn't one that I trust enough to score a ton, even in matchups that look good. So I'm just taking them to the first 5 to be leading to the first 5. Hopefully Castillo, has another vintage performance from him and shuts Angels out, and then the Mariners will only need 1 run for this to hit, obviously, hopefully. But even then, I think they can get 2 to 3 or so at least through the first 5 So yeah, Cubs, Orioles first 5 under 4.5. Looking for both Steele and Suarez to deal, and hopefully your Cubs first 5 hits too, obviously, and then Mariners first 5 -0.5 against the Angels tonight. Back in Castillo, and their offense to do just enough.
My other lean, obviously, for the Cubs and Orioles was probably the first 5 under at 4.5 as well. So I do like that play as well for you. I already mentioned, Steele. I feel like he's kind of going back to his, Cy Young performance of last year, where he was, one of the best aces in baseball. He's starting to, find himself again. Obviously, you mentioned that, complete game shutout against the Angels, but it's the Angels. Who cares? They stink anyway. But speaking of the Angels, obviously you mentioned that they bringing up this guy from Double A who has a 5 ERA. You mentioned the strikeout rate, but Mariners first 5. I feel like they definitely should get a lead out. Maybe he only goes a couple innings and they bring in a bullpen arm or something like that. And I know the Angels bullpen you mentioned not the strongest as well. So I do expect or hope obviously both the Mariners get at least a couple runs through the first 5. And obviously, you're mostly backing Luis Castillo, as you mentioned. He does not. I don't think he's allowing a more of a 200 batting average against this Angels team. Obviously, he has a fair share of homers, but most of those were coming from, two guys named Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and those guys aren't going to be in the lineup tonight. So obviously, I feel like the Mariners first 5 -0.5 for 1 is definitely a great play for you tonight, as well as the Cubs Orioles first 5 under to correlate with my Cubs first 5 play, along with the Dodgers money line today at +120. You can find all 4 of these plays, and of course, this video on our Twitter below, AKP Sports Talk, where we will be having this full card video and all of our picks posted momentarily. But that's going to do it for this episode of AKP Sports Talk. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. That is Ari. I'm Korea. Obviously, we'll be back to wrap up our week tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget, get a free Slurpee today, win some money, and have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.